Go. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hat Trick Sports Talk. We got Shane, we got Brannan, we got myself.
Hey, hey,
And
hey.
let's get started. Our weekly Friday shows are back. Today we have division previews. We're back at it with the NFL division previews. This week we are doing the NFC West. But first, we're going to get started with the team from the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. And we're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers. He just had his press conference earlier today talking about, the whole thing with Jordan Love. And he basically said you can only kind of control what you can control. But he said he does want to play into his 40s. He wants to play with the Packers until he retires, but obviously he probably cannot feasibly. What was your guys' reaction to the press conference earlier today?
I mean, it went about as I expected it to. He's not gonna come out there and bash the organization or say, something unreasonable, even if he might be thinking it. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he wants to stay there, but like you said, that won't happen if he wants to play till he's in his 40s. I mean, I could see him, going somewhere else for sure. I don't know where exactly. It'll kind of depend on, the market when the time comes. But I mean, he'll probably, we've kind of talked about it. He'll probably be there, 2 or 3 more years and then maybe head out. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because, when he says, you can only control what you can. It's just kind of goes to show that for me, it's like he's in this point now where he's finally starting to realize that it's not all his one-man show, But I don't know. I could be looking too far into it, but it's just it's a strange situation. I don't imagine he's happy with the organization, especially since they didn't get any good weapons or anything in the draft. So, yeah.
It
Brandon,
all
what's your feeling on the press conference?
it honestly kind of felt like his agent had told him to just go out there and not say anything stupid. It was very
Yeah.
he just kind of it was honestly kind of boring because I was expecting him to say something more, I don't know, along the line of Aaron Rodgers y. Uh, but yeah, I guess the one word I would say is safe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he basically did what you want any quarterback to do in front of the media. So it wasn't a massive surprise, but it's still interesting to sort of see him reiterate, like, I do want to play for a long time, and I guess it won't be here, right? That just him sort of admitting that up front. Now, in fairness, I don't think there's a real point to the press conference because,
Yeah.
like, he can just talk when the season starts in September, right? If the season does start in September, he can just talk then. He doesn't need to have this whole press conference and then here's Matt LaFleur talking after him saying, oh, we're committed and all this stuff. I just don't think it was too necessary, in fairness.
Yeah, it felt kind of strange, the timing of it.
I mean,
I
I
don't
understand it took 2 months, but I don't get why he needs to do it now.
2 months.
Or what was it? A month?
One.
Yeah. 1 month,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or a few weeks. So anyways.
Do you think we're going to see more quarterbacks play until they're into their 40s now with these new classes coming into the league?
I mean, probably just because, health and nutrition is getting better and the game is getting safer for quarterbacks. That's just, the way things happen as time evolves. So, yeah, I mean, it's, the new way that we want quarterbacks is to be fast and agile and mobile, whatever. Obviously, most, 40-year-olds in the league are not. Rodgers, he used to be. He's not so much anymore, but mobile. But yeah, I mean, if they can still sit back there in the pocket, make plays, lead the team, then yeah, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't happen. Do I think it's better if guys just kind of retire at 40 and let new generations, come in and let the game continue to evolve? Yeah. But, where's the money in that? So, I mean, it's you want to keep around these big names as long as you can, So, yeah.
Brandon, what are your thoughts on quarterbacks playing into their 40s? Do you think it's going to be more likely now?
I feel like it's possible, but I also feel like a lot of quarterbacks are being kind of churned out more these days. I think less people. I think there's going to be less high quality quarterbacks, and I think there's going to be more like long term second tier quarterbacks. Like, I don't think in the future we're going to see like 80% of the teams in the league having like a good, like reliable starting quarterback for like where like they can take the team on their back. But I do think a lot of quarterbacks will go farther in their career than just like 30s or like 30, 31, 32,
I think it's interesting looking at the future of the quarterback position because I think when you look at it, about 20 to 25 teams have a quarterback that's at least interesting, right? An interesting storyline, or it's not like, oh, this guy's just terrible and their team's going to be bad because of it. Every team has sort of an interesting storyline when it comes to their quarterback. And I think that that's what's going to be the case for the next little while. We're going to have more interesting stories at the quarterback position. And I think with that, we're going to have more talent. I'm just not sure how long-term it will be.
Yeah, I can only think of a handful of quarterbacks in the league right now that aren't not necessarily franchise guys, but, that can't, lead their team like to a playoff victory or something like that, I mean, Mitch Trubisky, Baker, maybe.
Minshew?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if he was in a better organization, I think he could be better. But yeah, and I mean, who knows with all these rookies? But there's the other thing. I will say this too. If Favre played until he was 40. Other than him, I can barely think of anybody who, like before him, who played until they were that age.
Wasn't that many, if any, at all.
No, and now in the last 5 years, you got Manning, Breeze, Brady, Rivers. Big Ben's getting up there. I mean,
let's
Rodgers,
just go 35 plus, right? 35 plus.
Yeah.
It's
Rodgers, Matt Ryan. I mean, there's never been anything like this, and I think it is because of the way that the game has evolved to be safer and the way that health and nutrition has increased. Because, I mean, 50 years ago, you look at pictures of people in the locker room, they're sitting there smoking and whatever, it's true,
No,
and now
is.
it's, you got guys like Tom Brady who talks about, or Garoppolo. I saw some video where he was talking about how, it's like all the diet and exercise that they do in each day. And it's like, geez, we should all be doing that. But anyways, yeah. So it's, you combine all those sorts of factors and it's much more commonplace now.
Yeah. All right, let's move forward to the Rooney Rule. So the Rooney Rule has been a huge point of contention across NFL, the NFL front offices. It's been a massive point of contention, and we have the virtual league meetings next week on Tuesday. They're obviously normally in Florida, but they're going to be virtual this year. And basically under this proposal, they're trying to figure out how do we get more minority hires across the league, which is obviously incredibly important. But as I said, it's been a huge problem. So they are saying that a team can improve their third round draft selection by 16 picks going up 10 spots by hiring a minority candidate as a GM or an equivalent level position, 6 spots for a head coach. On this plan, a team can move 5 spots in the 4th round, and other coaches as well. So quarterback coach, retaining a minority quarterback coach. And if teams lose minority candidates to other teams, they will also earn a 3rd round compensatory pick as well. So this is interesting because the Rooney Rule is obviously really important. It's been important for a long time, but over the last few years, it hasn't been enforced as well as it should have. And I've always thought picks is a good way to enforce it. But I wonder if being able to move up 10 spots is a little bit too much. I would have said probably 5 spots.
Yeah.
I think picks is a big thing, though.
Can I say something about this? I really don't like this at all. I don't think it's a fair way of enforcing the Rooney Rule because it's, and I don't know how to say this without coming across sounding like I'm being like against the Rooney Rule, but like I'm against any stipulation added to hiring that enhances a team's ability based upon them specifically hiring a certain group or whatever, be it white, black, Asian, gay, straight, whatever, I don't care. I think putting something onto it, saying that a team could jump up a ton of spots would not only be unfair because it could put teams that are really good one year. Let's do a hypothetical here, right? You have the Seahawks, right? They win the Super Bowl, they get the 32nd pick in the 1st round.
We're talking 3rd round picks here,
okay,
not
right,
1st round.
But whatever. But like it's still, I feel like it still is one of those things where it could add a level of jumping. I just feel like adding picks to compensation for not even compensation. It's like saying do the good thing and you get a present. It's kind of like it's like treating teams like children in a way to me.
So here's my thing. I think there's a way to do this properly. I do think that we all agree that the Rooney Rule is very important. The bigger question is, and it's been a question for the NFL for a long time, is how do we enforce it properly? I think the way to do that is either have teams jump up 5 picks instead of 10, because if you do 5, it's not a tremendous jump. And then how about just focus on compensatory selections, right? Compensatory selections aren't necessarily, as crazy as a regular 3rd round pick, but still, I think that if you do, they can jump 5 spots in the 3rd, and then you can give them a couple of compensatory selections here and there in the 3rd or 4th round. I'm fine with that. But I think jumping 10 is a little bit too far, is my feeling on it.
Here's my thing about it. I mean, the fact that it's a 3rd round pick, is anyone going to really care that much to go out of their way to hire, a person of color or whatever?
I mean, Seahawks, they kind of thrive in the 3rd round.
Well, yeah, but I mean, do most organizations feel that way? I mean,
probably not.
That's the thing. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I feel like it's just tough because I feel like there shouldn't have to be some kind of a reward system for doing this, for having to hire, a coach who is a minority. It should just be, whoever we think the best pick is or the best person for the job.
Yeah.
However, the fact that, only two of the NFL's 32 general managers are minorities. I mean, that's, and then 3 of the past 20 NFL head coaching hires were minorities. when it's a league with where the majority of players are African American, I mean that's a bit of a problem when only 3 of 20 of the coaches are minority. You know, I mean that doesn't it doesn't really add up. I think.
Yeah, and I think that's why the NFL is creating such a huge focus on that. I think you pointed out perfectly, but I think the difficult part for the NFL, and we'll see how the owners react to it. I'm not sure how the owners are going to look at this, and I think it will be more interesting to see if this will get approved. But if it doesn't get approved, I'm not sure where they kind of move forward. Like, I've never really figured out, and I don't think the NFL has a plan to really be fair, but also help incentivize teams to change those statistics that you pointed out.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's not pushing the league to get. I feel like they should find. I don't know. It just feels like it's not like it's saying like pushing diversity and pushing to follow the Rooney Rule without finding a way for them to be like find the best person who's like the best, most deserving person rather than just any person,
Yeah. And that I think I think one of the hardest parts for me with this as a whole is just that I don't think there's an easy way to enforce it. And we've seen that over the last 5 years. And that's where I think there's just such a point of contention with the league is like, how do we enforce it properly to make sure that the teams hire the best candidate while also creating a much needed diversity in the coaching pool? Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to some MLB before we start our NFC West division preview. So thoughts on the MLB's plan to start up the league again? They're thinking about starting on July 4th weekend, having a abbreviated spring training in June. We got universal DHs. We got a 20-team taxi squad. Just general thoughts on the MLB's proposal to start the league back up again, or actually start the season, in fairness.
I think so. First, I'm going to say just off of my just being a sports fan, I want it because sports. But I've been thinking about it since last night, and I'm going, it's going to be what, an 84-game season?
82
game season. I've heard 82 games. I've heard expanded playoffs possibly.
That's also another thing that they're planning to add, yes.
Like,
why can't they wait till next year for all this?
I mean, I know, right? Like, it's just like, to me, 84 games by that point, it's like you're playing half a season, and the whole point of having a long season, of having like the full season. I know you can't do a whole season because of, Corona, but I don't know. I feel like it would work, like what they're doing would work well. And I don't think the problem safety-wise is like, once they get on the field, I'm sure it's fine because they've done I have to give MLB a lot of props for what they're saying about how their safety is going to be. Like they've designated a whole testing area to doing quick testing for players, getting it, like being able to get it done. I think as Robert and I had a fairly heated conversation yesterday about this issue, and we'll get into it, a lot of players are pushing back on the money factor of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's very strange because I'm usually pro player in sports a lot of the time. But in this situation, there's just something about players complaining about not getting paid when there are people out there who are literally not making any money at all. Just it doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the biggest point of contention for any league, really, whether it's the MLB, whether it's the NBA, is that even the MLS, I think they're proposing 25% pay cuts, and I just don't think there's going to be there. I mean, as we talked about last night, Brandon, there's going to be players that just say straight out, I'm not going to play because it's not safe, and I'm not getting paid the same amount of money as I normally would. It's just not worth it.
I mean, as I've said, bully for them. There are people who are literally not making money who don't make millions of dollars.
Right.
I mean, great for them, but frankly, I could care less. I'll play them a little violin for their troubles, but cry me a river. Frankly,
Shane,
I do own the world's smallest violin, by the way, and I've played it quite a few times in my life.
No, that's nice.
Shane, what are your thoughts on this?
I think, yeah, I mean, if they're worried about spreading the virus to different parts through traveling, that's a genuine concern. I get it. So to solve that issue, I would just have them all gather in Peoria or whatever, and just have all the games there, so that way they aren't getting on flights.
Or just play in Arizona's stadium.
Yeah.
One of the two.
I think, well, first off, let me address that point. One is that they're only going to play in their division. So the NL West or the AL West, they're only going to play and travel amongst their divisions. So they're not going to be,
For now?
Well, no, it's not going to be just division. They're doing it by geography.
Oh, that's right. Yes, they are.
But here's the question we have to think about, though. First off, you have two teams in California that are not going to be playing in California. So they're going to have to find somewhere to put them.
Yeah.
So.
It's a really.
4, actually.
4?
Oakland.
5. Oakland, San Francisco, LA,
oh,
San Diego.
You're right. Yeah, 5 teams.
5.
Yeah. I always forget that California has the most baseball teams.
Yeah. So I mean, and Shane, what are your thoughts on the whole money issue and that contention between, especially the MLB players, of the 20% cut or anything of that sort?
That's so dumb. I mean, they make so much money, and they get paid, or they get cut 20% of their $5 million to $4 million. Oh, what a travesty! Come on, grow up.
I mean, I think also I understand how you guys feel about that. If you make millions of dollars, yeah, it's a pay cut, whatever. And especially since these players have a lot of savings and those kind of things. But I wonder
That's generous for only playing half a season.
Right.
But anyways, go ahead.
And not but I wonder for players that are probably going to be on the taxi squad on these minor league deals, or players that have these minor league contracts, 20% cut. Now, I'm not sure if it does affect the minor league players, but if it does, it's definitely an issue.
See, that I can understand. That
Yeah.
If someone who's making the league minimum, which I believe is something like $75,000 for a year, which is the league minimum, if they're getting their league minimum cut down by 2/3, that's when you can start complaining.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure if that's the case, of course.
But even then, you're making a one-time. But even then, you're making a something like probably $50,000, which a lot of people still don't make in a year.
Yeah, especially right now.
It just doesn't feel like the time for money to be the issue on either side. I think the owners need to shut the hell up and just be like, here's how we're gonna play the damn game of baseball. Because frankly, they're saying, oh, we're not gonna make them a ton of money without having fans in the stands. And I'm like, y'all are not gonna get that past the media, because the media knows that the most money revenue comes from television TV contracts, and you're going to have way more eyes on the game because it's just going to be TV,
right?
Unless it's Arizona or Florida, which might just be like, yeah, you can have fans, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think those are really interesting thought processes there for sure. The Major League Baseball draft will be held remotely on June 10th and 11th. Now, they're only having 5 picks compared to 20 picks as normal. I don't understand why they have 20 picks in the first place. But they are they
That's
can
quite a decrease. 20 to 5.
Yep,
Yeah.
and they can
Jeez.
sign an unlimited number of undrafted free agent players for up to $20,000. So thoughts on the draft being pushed down to 5 rounds and it being held remotely? Hopefully, it will be as good as the NFL, but only 5 rounds.
I mean, I might actually watch it this year because usually I'm like, hell no, I'm not watching a 1-day thing that's 20 rounds. Like, or no, it's not even 20 rounds. It's like forever rounds. It just goes forever. I feel like, well, for one thing, I feel like there's players that are gonna. This is the situation where players are gonna end up worse off because of the fact that usually players will get drafted for higher amounts of money than just the minimum of 20,000. And I think there's going to be players that could have gotten drafted higher up that won't. But I guess it's good that they're still doing it. But I don't really know much about the draft for MLB.
I do wonder though, if you're like a 4th, 5th round prospect, I think you would rather go undrafted. Just because
Yeah,
you have
probably
more options for teams and where you want to go in the minors and things of that nature. So it does open up that spotlight for agents and players as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Okay.
I was expecting it to be held remotely just, because of
Right,
everything.
of course.
But yeah.
I just don't understand how it's 20 rounds in the first place, but I'm not too big in
Yeah,
the
that's
MLB
bizarre.
draft as well.
I mean, think about how many different leagues, like there's single A, double A, triple A, like there's pre-double A, there's pre-A single A ball. Like there's a lot of different players that are needed for teams.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get to our main segment of the week, our NFC West division preview. So same as last year, we're doing it a little bit differently, but Shane, you have record predictions for every team, don't you? Correct?
I do. Do you, Brendan?
Predictions?
Record predictions.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can make one up very quickly by looking at the. Honestly,
let's just go team through team first here, and then
Okay.
we'll kind of go through it. I'm going to share my screen for this.
I'll just say this personally. I think the 49ers and Seahawks are going to be kind of neck and neck, and it's going to come down to who slips up in a game.
Yeah, so let's start with the Niners. They finished with a 13-3 record, obviously lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. I think the most interesting storyline with the Niners this year this offseason has been a concern about whether they are going to have a type of Super Bowl losing sort of hangover. And especially in this division, you can't really have that. What's your guys' feelings on that thought process across the media this offseason?
I could see the Niners, and I'm putting aside my haha, I'm a Niners hater hat, but looking at their schedule, this is something that kind of bothers me a lot of the time when I see schedules for teams that have made the Super Bowl, even if they win or lose. They always seem to be the easiest schedules ever the next year because
they're supposed to be one of the hardest schedules, but they're not always
the hardest.
Well, look later on, though.
Yeah, but so the Seahawks, for the 49ers, I think legitimately it's going to be, as I said with the 49ers and the Seahawks, it's going to depend on who does better in their division.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, can the Seahawks not do what they usually do, which is lose to Arizona at least once? I think the trap games for the 49ers are going to be Philly or Buffalo. I think those are the two games that could.
New Orleans.
Those are the three. New Orleans will be out for blood after last year. Yeah. So.
That's an interesting stretch, week 7 to week 13, right? You got
Yeah.
or week 8 to week 13, I should say. Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans. Then you hit the bye. Then you have the Rams. Then you got the Buffalo Bills. It's a really interesting
That's
stretch.
a rough 3 weeks for 8, 9, 10 for them.
With a Thursday night game against the Packers and a Monday nighter against the Bills.
Because they go on the road for Seattle and New Orleans, but home for Green Bay.
On Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is that's rough for them.
That's a
At least
tough
Seattle's
stretch.
close, but yeah.
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 So my X Factor player for this team, let's see, what did I have? I think there's a couple players. I'm going to go Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is my X Factor player. I know you guys are probably going to pick different players, but I'm going to try to go a little bit outside the map for X Factor players this year, and I'm going to go Deebo Samuel. I think one of the biggest things for the Niners the past few years has been a wonder of who's going to be their number one guy. Now you have options to see who will be your number one guy. You got Deebo Samuel, and you also got Brannan Ayuk, who they drafted in the first round this year. So I think receivers are going to be really big for Jimmy Garoppolo, especially since I really need him to throw the ball a lot more this season. Who do you guys have for X Factor players, or one specific player that will be an ultimate important player for the Niners to be successful in 2020?
I think for me, the obvious choice was George Kittle because he's just, I mean, you watched last season when they didn't have him for those few games, and Garoppolo, he really struggled against some not so amazing defenses. So, I mean, I think that, especially not knowing how good exactly their receiving core will be. I mean, I have hopes, but I mean, losing Emmanuel Sanders and what's that other guy's name?
They lost Matt Breida as well. In
But
the running
yeah.
back core, he went to Miami.
Well, anyways, so I mean, I think yes, Garoppolo is clutch, but I mean, Kittle is really the core piece to that pass game that they really need to improve on. So that's their X factor to me.
Let's not forget they added Trent Williams as well this offseason. Brandon,
Yeah.
What's your X factor for the San Francisco 49ers?
So I agreed with Shane. I think Kittle, just because it seemed like every time I watched the 49ers, Kittle was just mauling someone. I mean, the dude is a beast. He's arguably the best tight end in the league. Going back to the Saints game, he won that game for them at the end. He just caught the ball and just had 7 guys hanging off of him. I would say if I'm going to give another X factor, it would be, is the 49ers defense going to be as... So I would say the X factor would be, can the 49ers defense put together a full season of dominance?
Mm-hmm.
Can they be consistent? Because if they're consistent, I actually truly believe that it's going to be very hard for a lot of teams to beat them.
Right. They added pieces on their defense as well in the draft, so definitely interesting to see what they'll do. But yeah, I think they had a great defensive line, and if they continue to have a great defensive line like they did last year, there's no question they can probably find themselves back in the Super Bowl. But it depends. It depends how the season goes early on, but as you said, throughout the year, can they be consistent defensively, or even more consistent as they were last season? And then we move on to the Seattle Seahawks. They finished 11-5, lost in the divisional round to the Green Bay Packers, 28-23. Here is their schedule. Any
because
eye
Graham
openers?
definitely got that first down.
Yeah, totally. That totally wasn't some bullshit.
Well, I think I don't remember the play too much now, but I think he did get the first
I
down.
remember Jimmy Graham?
Or I'm not sure. I don't remember the play too much.
What I remember about that play is I remember specifically thinking, "Oh, you're going to call that a first down, but not call the touchdown in the Seattle versus San Francisco game." But whatever.
No, I honestly think if you look at it closely, Graham did get that first down.
Okay,
but either way, what jumps?
Seattle Tiger, what?
What? Stop it!
No, I actually had something in my throat.
Let's go through their schedule. What jumps out at you for the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, first of all, I would say this is a harder schedule than the Niners. I think Philadelphia for me. I think they're going to be a team that could be tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it'll be really cold.
Right.
I think that'll be a hard game. Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, week 8 to 12 is pretty crazy for them. San Francisco, Buffalo,
Atlanta
the Rams.
Probably won't be much hard. Dallas is at home. New England's at home. Minnesota's at home.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Shane, anything that jumps out for you here?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of, games like that'll be tough, but then there's also a lot of, Miami, Washington, Giants.
New England.
Yeah. Stuff that seems pretty, or at least should be, not too tricky, but, you never know with them, so.
All right, X Factor players for the Seattle Seahawks. Who wants to go first for the Seahawks?
I'll go first. It's the one and only DJ Metcalf.
Yes, DK was my pick last year, and he was absolutely an X Factor. Why is he an X Factor for you again this year?
Because he is finally somebody who Russell Wilson has learned that he can trust. He's big. He's fast. He runs routes clean. And Russell and him are like two peas in a pod. Like, I believe Russell Wilson. I think DK Metcalf is going to have so many touchdown passes from Russell. I think it's going to – that connection's going to be untouchable.
I think he's like the next –
Yeah, I was going to say Lockett.
Baldwin.
Yeah, I was going to say Lockett, but I think, like, those two together would technically be my X Factor combination. Because, like, the fact is, when you have Lockett running around and they have to put a guy on Lockett and have someone come over and cover him in the end zone, then you have no one on Metcalf who's like, hi, I'm going to make a great catch over here with a guy on me, but also without a guy on me. So,
Shane, what's your pick here?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, Metcalf, I totally get, but I'll differ from you, and I'll say Russell. I mean, let's be honest, this team is nothing without him.
Yeah.
They just, his leadership, his ability to extend plays, make plays, just do everything he does. It's
stays calm.
Yeah, there's really nothing like it. So I think that, a lot of their success really comes down to him and what he's able to do, and so I think he is definitely my X Factor player for sure. But
I'm gonna go Lockett. I went with DK Metcalf last year. I'm gonna go Tyler Lockett. I think him and Russell Wilson is a deadly connection, and I think that needs to continue. I know this is a running based team, but I think that the passing game is actually really important. Actually, you know what? On offense, that was my player. But actually, I thought about it more. This is my actual X Factor player,
okay.
Bruce Irvin.
Really?
Bruce Irvin.
Okay.
So here's why I say Bruce Irvin. Bruce Irvin, to me, if you look at that entire defensive line, they were terrible last year for most of the year. I'm not sure if there's a particular player. I'm just highlighting Bruce Irvin. But that defensive line needs to be a lot better. And
is it like a leadership thing?
I don't know necessarily if it's a leadership thing. I just think that the defensive line, let's say they lose Clowney, who's going to give them that production on defensive line? Because what did we talk
Irvin.
about all last year? Let's say from week 10 to that playoff loss to the Packers, we said, where's the pass rush? We only saw it in like the 2 Niners games. The pass rush is going to be really important.
I think also, kind of touching on that, I think you're right about bringing Irvin in, because by having someone there with Irvin who's a veteran and can pass rush, it frees up Bobby to not have to be the chatter guy in the backfield and also have to feel like he has to rush. Because a lot of the time, if you think back to the Legion of Boom days, you had multiple guys who were veterans who all could like get to the quarterback. Now, last year you only really had Bobby who could really theoretically get to the quarterback, but he was playing a more of a veteran leader role, so they didn't have him trying to rush the quarterback. And so I feel like I didn't really think about it from that perspective, but bringing back a guy like Bruce Irvin, I think really could help not only this year in a leadership role, but also putting some pressure on, but also teaching the fast guys that we drafted this year who have that natural ability, like teaching them what he knows.
Shane, when you look at this running back group and when you look at them bringing in Greg Olsen with Hollister and Disley, what is your feeling on the impact they're going to make on this offense, and how do you feel like the running back and tight end room is going to play next year?
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely help to have everyone back healthy. That's for sure. And, you know, Greg Olsen, I really like him as an addition to this team. I don't know how amazing he is anymore, but Hollister and, you know, and Disley are still young and developing. And so, you know, having that veteran presence there, I think will be great. And, you know, Greg Olsen is definitely a leader and, you know, just an all-around good guy. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's won the Walter Payton Award and, you know, whatever. So anyways, yeah, I think that's, you know, a great addition in many ways. No matter, you know, if he's there for just a year or two or, yeah, who knows? You know what I mean? He is getting a tad bit older for a tight end, but yeah, you know, like I said, we'll see what happens there.
I'm really confused with their running back room still. Carson and Penny, of course. I think Carson's pretty much the mainstay there, but adding in DJ Dallas to that group is still massively confusing. I'm not sure what they're trying to look for in the running back because I honestly think Carson is their top guy moving forward, but are you guys as sure as I am?
DJ Dallas to me is not a surprising move after looking into him. He is a guy that they picked up to replace they brought him in as their third down passing running back guy who he won't get a lot of play, I believe, but I think he'll be the guy they put in specific packages. I forget who they just let go who used to play that role.
Yeah, but either way,
I feel
really
like that's the reason behind it. I'm also feeling I feel like also Travis Homer in the future could be pretty good if they give him more
for
time
sure
to develop.
For sure. Let's start with the Rams by acknowledging something with the Rams, which is the fact that they got new jerseys. And these jerseys, what?
They're so bad. They look like toys.
Do you guys like anything about these jerseys? Shane?
No. I like the more like kind of, you know, like navy and gold look that they used to have. Not this.
I wonder how this is going to look on the field, the grayish, but other than that,
like that yellow. It just looks like mustard with.
They look like college uniforms to me.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't scream NFL.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if you
that's
look really
a good way
closely
to
at
put
the
it.
stripes too, yeah, absolutely. If you look at like where it says LA Rams on the jersey, that is such a weird placement. It's so strange.
Yeah.
It's just I can't zoom in, but yeah, I think we're all in agreement that the jerseys are bizarre. Now
Yeah.
let's go to the Rams. Just looking at their team in general, finished 9-7. They move into their new stadium this year. Probably not on time, but they hopefully will be playing in there this year. They opened the season against Dallas. What are your guys' feelings on this?
Why
I
is
feel
that the
like
first
it's
primetime game?
yeah. Robert and I talked about this during the the season review of the games. We were very confused about that. To me, the season opener is the battle of the overrated teams. They're like two teams that people 2 years ago thought were like on the rise, and now they're not.
Yeah.
I think it's something, obviously, with the stadium opening. Obviously, it probably won't open on time, which makes this matchup even more confusing. But overall, I mean, is there anything else in specific you want to highlight with their schedule?
Well, I mean, they have a bit of a tough stretch weeks 10 through 13.
Mm-hmm. 3 division matchups and the Bucks right there. The second week of that.
That might not be great. But I mean, nothing that. Well, in the first few weeks too. I mean, Philly, Buffalo, those aren't easy, especially on the road at those places. At least it won't be cold there. That's nice, but.
I do wonder though. I feel with the Rams, like, I get that they are just like in cap issues, and we've talked about this over and over again on the show. We've been very big on it, other than most other national medias. But I think this is a team that I'm not trying to sleep on as much. Like I do feel like they can win 10 games, but they really have to have some breaks, and that's part of the issue. What are your guys' feelings on
The Rams?
The Rams? Yeah, I don't. There's just something about it, man. Like I don't think they are falling as much apart as we think they are. I feel like with Sean McVay, they're in a position where they can maybe get 10 wins. I mean, they finished with 9. I don't think 10 is necessarily unreasonable.
I appreciate your enthusiasm for the hapless Rams, but I'm gonna have to disagree there.
What's your feeling on it, Brannan, just as a whole, if you look at the team from a critical perspective? 7-9.
I think they're not terrible. They're not in like the New York Giants a couple years ago level, but like they're not doing anything to really impress me. I will eat my hat if they turn out to be better than I think they are. I'll be the first one to be like, wow, they're actually better. But like, I mean, it's not that hard to go 9-7 in the league. 9-7 is like, oh, you're decent.
All right, who's your X Factor player for the Los Angeles Rams?
Do they even have one?
I was gonna say this is the for every single team in the league, I can think of a clear X Factor player. But for the Rams, I was thinking about it this morning, and I was like, wait, who is their X Factor?
Robert, go to the defense.
Yes.
Aaron Donald.
Sure.
That's sure. Yeah, Aaron Donald. The only Aaron Donald or Jalen Ramsey, either one of them. I was
gonna say Jalen Ramsey. Yeah.
Maybe Johnny Hecker. I don't know.
Leonard Floyd might be an interesting one there as well. You guys are missing a very important player.
Punter.
You guys are missing a very important player. This is an extremely important player that everyone is saying could have a breakout year, and I think he needs to have a breakout year in order for the Rams to actually win 10 games. And that guy's the rookie out of Florida State, Cam Akers. Cam Akers,
Mm,
here's my thought. When they made the Super Bowl 2 years ago, it was about Todd Gurley for most of the year, right? Todd Gurley had an amazing year that season. Cam Akers needs to help Jared Goff. If we all have concerns about where Goff is, and we're not sure if he's in a developmental stage or if he's kind of hit his ceiling. Well, to help him develop a little bit more, they need a good running game. They didn't have it last year. They had a running back by committee and, of course, overpaid Todd Gurley. He's gone now. You got Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, who played sparingly throughout the year. Cam Akers has got to really step in and be that running back number one and help Jared Goff. It's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie, I understand, but he needs to have a good year in order for this team to get 10 wins.
They also don't really have a good offensive line, though.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
That's kind of an impossible task to ask a rookie running back to, carry a team with a bad line.
Right. I think he definitely needs to have an impact, though.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, bringing in DeAndre Hopkins. But they finished 5-10-1. Of course, last place in the division. Let's first start with their schedule before we talk about Hopkins' impact. Here is the Cardinals' 2020 schedule. What jumps out here? They open with the Niners, which is a tough way to open.
I think they could beat the Niners opening, to be honest.
Yeah.
They should have beat the Niners at least once last year.
Yeah, they were really
You could argue they should have beat the Niners twice last year.
Yeah, both times they were
both
within
their games.
a
I thought they
goal.
were going to take them out, and I would have been like, "Yay, Arizona!"
How much do you guys feel Arizona could be like a spoiler party this year in the division with Kyler Murray, who's poised to have a breakout year with Hopkins? Do you really feel like they can play spoiler this year and maybe get to the playoffs with the 7th seed?
I mean, not with Seattle and San Francisco around. I think. Oh well, actually no. With the fact that I forgot about the fact that there's a 7th seed now.
Right, and this is why I think about the Cardinals as the potential team.
I could see them getting in that 7th seed, but they'd have to. But here's my thing with the Cardinals. They are always usually a pretty good balanced team, but they're never able to win the games they need to win.
They're always really close, especially in division.
Yeah, they're not. That's the difference between the Seahawks and the 49ers and the Cardinals. The Cardinals don't do what the 49ers and Seahawks do, which is be clutch. But maybe this year.
I think that might be changing, though, just based off of some of the pieces they brought together.
I think,
especially D-Hop.
I think if they can beat San Francisco, that will give them a big boost for the season.
So you think that's a really important game out to start the year for them?
I think because think about it.
I think it is for both of them.
Yeah, if you're a team, think about it. If you're a team that can knock off a team that was in the Super Bowl, and you were a team that were just on the precipice last year of being good. Think about how, because a lot of the time, how the media approaches a team can give teams a boost. And I think nationally, if people are saying, "Oh, Cardinals are good," that could be one of the things they need. Because then, if you knock off 49ers, then you're going to play Washington, Detroit, and Carolina back to back to back.
And the Jets too.
Those are 4 winnable games right there. You can start your season 5 if you beat San Fran.
Yeah.
See, what I don't like about it though is I don't want to play a 5-0 I don't want to play a 5-0 or a 4-2 Cardinals team coming into Seattle week 7.
They're playing at Arizona for that one, week 7.
No, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, at Arizona.
Which again, we don't do good in Arizona. It doesn't go well. So
no, they do good in Arizona, but they are bad against Arizona in Seattle.
The hell you talk about? We get all their players killed in Arizona.
Shane,
look at last year.
The last 3 times we've gone there, we've had someone get hurt.
Shane, what are your expectations of the Cardinals this year before we get to the X Factor players?
I think I really like the direction this organization's going for sure. I've said it, and just after the draft and some of the free agents that they've gotten in the offseason, I think it's just another step in the right direction for them, really. I think Kyler Murray will continue to cement himself as a decent NFL player. He reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson, but not quite as good as them. But he has great skills without a doubt. So I mean, like you guys have been saying, I think they could maybe sneak into that 7 seed. I wouldn't be surprised.
Expectations for Kyler. Do you feel like he's poised for a really, really excellent season?
I do. I mean, if you look at his numbers from last year, and that was, with a weaker O-line and, without D-Hop, I mean, that's, and he was a rookie too, you know what I mean? Now he has had a whole year of experience. He's going to mature. He's going to be older and wiser. Not by much, but it is a little. And he's got all these extra pieces around him now. I think he could very easily have, 25 touchdowns and maybe 4,000 yards. So, yeah.
X Factor players for you guys as well. I don't think it's in the lineup here, but Isaiah Simmons, obviously.
Also, he does not turn the ball over very much.
Right.
Kyler.
Yeah.
Less than Tom Brady last year. Fun fact. Anyways.
I think. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the X Factor, I'd agree, Robert. Definitely Isaiah Simmons, without a doubt. I mean, it's that's the one thing that they really needed to improve a lot is their defense. And I think that he is a fantastic piece for them because he's such a skilled player and he's so versatile. They can use him in so many ways. And, I mean, outside of Chase Young, I think he's probably the most talented player of that draft class. So, I mean, I think that that's just the perfect piece that they needed for that defense. Granted, it's only one guy out of 11, but it's a start for sure.
I believe they're going to look to play him primarily at linebacker. What's your feeling on that?
I mean, that's about what I expected. I mean, what is his second best position?
It's linebacker. I would say it's left, right outside, or it's left outside, right outside, and then strong safety, probably.
Yeah.
So either play him at safety or linebacker, but I think they're expected to do linebacker. I believe Kingsbury has come out and said that after they drafted him, so
yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, I think linebacker is where he should be, regardless of if he's inside or outside or whatever. But yeah.
Brandon, what's your X factor for the Cardinals?
Probably Patrick Peterson. I just think.
I was like, Pat Pete, who's that?
Pat Pete, that's what I call him. Pete
I love
or
Pat
Byron
Pete.
Murphy. I think they both. I mean, man, I think if they can have 2 lockdown corners who just are like deadly this season, Arizona will have kind of an easy time because they can put a lot of pressure on teams and just make them throw the ball. Kind of like what the Seahawks did in a way back in the day.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Kenyon Drake. Obviously, they picked him up from the Miami Dolphins a bit late or before the trade deadline I think right on the trade deadline last year. He just went off with Arizona. He absolutely fits Cliff Kingsbury's offensive system. I think him and Chase Edmonds as a 1-2 combo is also excellent when Chase Edmonds needs to come in potentially for some third down packages. But Drake is going to have a lot of holes open with DeAndre Hopkins. Larry Fitzgerald is still there. They're still trying to figure out their young receiving core, of course, with Kirk and Butler and Andy Isabella. But I think Drake is poised to have an excellent season, and that's only going to help Murray to have a good running game behind him, as it did towards the end of last season.
Kyler Murray was already a fantastic runner.
Right. To add another piece there. All right, record predictions for these guys. How do you see the division shaping out? Shane, what are you? We'll start with you first.
I think winning the division at 12-4 will be Seattle. I don't say that with any bias at all. I make jokes about stuff like that, me hating the Niners on the show or whatever, but no, I mean, I do say things on the show, impartially. But I really do. I think this is their division to win if they, if all their pieces really do come together like we are hoping. I think they'll finish about 12-4, and then right behind them at 11-5, San Francisco. I think they will have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. Regardless, I don't know if all their rookies are going to be able to keep up with some of the veteran players that they lost. And I mean, it's a total guessing game with, if they lose Garoppolo or Kittle to injuries or whatever, they are, especially Garoppolo, is prone to injury. So, it's all stuff like that. That's very hypothetical, but it is stuff that I think of. Third, I would say Arizona coming in third place at 9-7. I think that, or maybe even better. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit too hot on them, but I think that they, they've gotten, like I said, they got so many great pieces in the draft and in free agency. I think this is really a year for them to sort of shine and come into their own. And then I think the Rams will be fourth at about 7-9. So, still, I mean, for a fourth place team, still pretty decent. I think this is definitely the best division in the league. And, the Rams have a lot to figure out with, their salary cap, and I don't trust Goff. Who knows how Cam Akers is going to be. And, I mean, I just, I don't know what to expect of their offense. I mean, they already were on the downfall last year, and things have only gotten worse in the offseason. So, yeah, I don't, I don't expect much from them this season. But that's about where I'm at. So.
Yeah, I agree with Shane.
You agree with all of those?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
I
Look
could
at
see.
us, Brannan.
I know. I could see the. I do have one question for Shane. Who do you see where do you see the one extra loss coming for the 49ers?
Okay. Well, shoot. Here's
There
our
we go.
schedule. I think that they will lose at least one game to Arizona and one game to Seattle. So there's two. Then let's see.
And as we talked about, those division losses are going to be a pretty big deal. And I think that's kind of where, if this is how it lands, I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then I think they lose to New Orleans. And honestly, I think they lose to Buffalo.
Yeah.
In week 13. And then, the other one, I mean, I could see them losing another game to someone in the division, or else either Philly or maybe Dallas. That's stretching it, but yeah, ultimately I would say about 11-5.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's gonna be really close. It's gonna be a one-game difference. Yeah. So
I'm telling you, this division is a really fun division. I'm not going to give record predictions, but I do think the Niners find a way to win it. I think you're right on the 12-4, 11-5 range. I think I would flip those. But Arizona, I probably give about 10 wins too, and then the Rams, I probably put even 9 or 10. Like I have such a tough time with where to flip the Rams in Arizona because I think there's a good chance that you're going to see this division do a lot of winning outside of the division, right? Like these 4 teams can easily have some runs outside of the division. So as we talked about, in the division is going to be really, really tough. I'm not making official record predictions yet. But I will probably as we get closer to the season. But I'm not the best at it, so I kind of stay away from it. So I'm gonna have you guys. Do those.
I'm not always, but yeah.
So
yeah, no, I think what's interesting about this 17 playoffs, and I don't think this will happen this year in the NFC at least, is that all 4 teams in a division could make the playoffs.
Maybe. I don't know if there's stipulations with that. I think there might be, but I'm not sure.
Well, theoretically.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
If it were to happen in any division, it would probably be this one.
Yeah.
Except there are, there's teams like Minnesota and Green Bay will both probably make the playoffs. New Orleans, Tampa Bay.
Right. And I think this is, and we're going to talk about this, I think, when we get to the NFC East, even the South to some degree. Just these divisions of teams kind of beating up on each other can really affect these records a lot. And the West has been like that for the last few years, for sure. And then finally, I know Brandon and I, as we talked about before, we've been watching The Last Dance. Brandon, what's been your reaction to episode 5 through 8?
It's one of those things where I feel like episode 5 through 8 just put the pedal to the metal in terms of being like, oh, you thought Michael Jordan was a great guy. Well, I don't know about that. I just feel like it's doing a really good job of highlighting like what you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it. There's not really much for me to say about it, though.
Yeah. I love the whole competitiveness of a guy like Michael Jordan and that whole thing of, I don't know if it was a bad guy thing necessarily. I mean, I think the biggest thing, and I think we always knew this with Michael, but I think that he just wanted to win. That was all he wanted to do. And he was going to push his players and push his players and push his players to do that. And I think it was really interesting to hear about the dream team, hear about his time with baseball, the whole be like Mike kind of bravado that he has. But all of that together has made for a really incredible story, not just with Michael, but as we've talked about in the past, just the whole team in general. And I'm really excited to see how this finishes up on Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, and that is it for the show this week. We'll be back next week with another Friday show. I wonder, are we doing the South next week? How did we order this? I completely forgot.
Yes.
I believe we are doing the South next week.
So we'll do NFC. Well, NFC West.
I wrote
this
it down.
Week.
NFC West. Are we doing South?
South, East,
West.
North.
Yeah, so we're doing the South on next Friday, and then we're going to do the East and the North. And then we're going to do the same thing for the AFC. So we're going to start with the AFC West and go South, East, North for the AFC as well. So we're going to be back next week with the NFC South. We're going to spread them out a little bit, of course, considering the situation. But, yeah, fun show today, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Hope you all are staying safe and healthy. Same with Brandon and Shane there and for all of you. So stay safe, happy, and healthy, and we will see you all next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yep.